I care for my mother, who has bipolar with schizophrenic tendencies. Growing up for us was quite hard, as in we never knew where my mother was going to be mentally when we got home from school. She did some quite bizarre things, and she was always known as the slightly eccentric mother, which was very hard as a child, forever getting bullied for what your mother wears and what she does. If my dad was coming home from offshore, she was as high as a kite. But if for any reason he couldn't come home, it wasn't just, oh well, he'll be home tomorrow. It was depths of depression and pretty bad thoughts went through her head. She tried to control things. She tried to control the whole family. She manipulated us all into doing what she wanted to do and how she wanted us to behave. But as soon as I asked for any independence, was grabbed by the throat and put back in my place as I am the oldest and I will be the carer and I will be there for everybody and be responsible for everybody. That was hard to deal with. Not feeling like you had any control of your own life. And then when you needed a mother to lean on, she wasn't there. She was very single-minded, not aware of other people's feelings. When I finally did get married and had my own family, she still overtook everything that we did. We didn't have a life, and that put a great strain on my children and my husband and my marriage. And I think I got very depressed for a long time because I couldn't see any light at the end of the tunnel. I always had to be the strong person. But after seeing or getting support from the support workers and finally getting counselling and getting somebody else's point of view who hasn't got any family connection to you, so you can say things that you wouldn't necessarily say to your husband or your mother or father because you know that that person's not going to go tittle-tattling back to them, and was actually a huge thing. Actually not telling my mum that I was going to counselling. That was my secret, that was my rebellion and my strength. And I think actually from there I have got a new perspective on life, and also seeing that some of the stuff that happened when I was younger wasn't my fault. She doesn't want any responsibility for her life. It's always somebody else's fault. It's never her own fault. She doesn't understand why people don't want anything to do with her. And I find her very hard to deal with because she physically looks like me mum, but she isn't me mum. She is my mother, and she occasionally tries to manipulate me and my family. But I suppose because I've got stronger, I can see what she's trying to do. The illness has taken away part of her. She hasn't got anything that she enjoys. She just exists. Nothing gets her excited, nothing makes her cry, nothing makes her laugh. Everything is very bleh. That's how she describes it, and that's how I see her. But now that she's medicated, she says it herself, she just exists. It's not, there's no ups nor downs, it's just the same. Very hard to deal with because you want her to have a life. I'm not sure if it's the illness or herself that stops herself doing stuff. She doesn't do stuff because she likes it, she does it to fill up her day. All through her life she has, or we've been able to tell what mood she's in depending on the music she listens to, and it goes from, you know, Vivaldi and Wagner to Randy Crawford, Elton John. We could tell before we even came in the house how bad things were because you could hear it. They're important to her care. To me, they're not always easy to deal with. They can hide behind the confidentiality. It can almost be like a get out of jail free sticker, you know, we just hide behind the confidentiality and that's us covered. But if you're asking a carer to look after someone, take on that responsibility of caring for that person outside hospital, how do I do my job without all of the information? I'm not asking for details of counselling sessions and things like that, but I need to know the medical regime that she's on, what tablets, when she's supposed to take them, what dosage she's supposed to have, any side effects that they can have. I also need to know more information about the actual disease, bipolar. What are the long-term effects? What other effects can come in with it? And I can't do that if the professionals aren't open. Well, I would actually like to be seen as part of the team not part of the problem. And I would really appreciate it if they wouldn't pat me on the head and say, there, everything will be okay. I've had 38 years of living with my mother. I have seen the worst of her and the best of her. The doctors may only see her for their 10-15 minute consultation, and she can hold it together and say everything's fine for that 15 minutes. But when she comes out, she can be aggressive, she can be apathetic. She's lost a lot of friends over this because they don't know how to deal with her. She has been not just nasty but vicious with her tongue. When you're brought in as part of the team, I think you feel valued and listened to, and it makes things easier for you as a carer, because life is hard enough as it is, generally day-to-day problems, but having the professionals listen to you and be aware of the situation means that that's one less fight that you've got to do. It's one less place where you can waste energy, which could be better used on yourself or your children. I've never been asked if I wanted to be a carer. I do it because I love my mum, but I want to be seen as part of the cure, not part of the problem.